Shalom, shalom, Yisrael, Yael, Yehonatan Da, we with you here once again, humbly so, on what they call the 30th of July 2021. I think it's the 30th of July. I don't know if could be the 1st of August. I don't know. But I do know what time it is with this book. And last week we talked about Balak. This week is Torah portion number 41, Pinechas. And Hasatan has been working the strong against me this week. Was coming to the station this morning. Horrible storm came down, blocked the roads. I couldn't get through, had to go around the other way, missed the turn, and I had to do the broadcast from the side of the road. So now I'm here at the station at another office, a side office, to deliver this message on YouTube because this is a powerful message today. Pinechas, and guess what Pinechas means? It means the bronze colored one. Pinechas is the bronze colored one. Just another sign of what Yahweh's people look like. We know Pinechas' father is Eleazar. Eleazar's father is Aharon. Aharon is the brother of Moshe. All brown people. Just to set the record straight. So we can get, only the truth is spoken here. I don't do my opinion and all that kind of stuff. The truth is to set the record straight with, remember, the ruddy heifer. One of the symbols of Yahweh Shua. And the ruddy heifer is brown. Yahweh Shua is brown. He's a brown man. His people look like me. Beautiful, ruddy people. And this man's name means bronze. This is a righteous brother. So just to set the record straight, Yahweh Shua says, he who does the will of my father is my mother, my brother, my sister. He didn't say that he who is beautifully bronze like me is my mother and brother and sister. No, those who do his will. Yahweh's always intended for others to be grafted in and brought in through his brown people, his covenant people. That's his law. That's his rules. His son looks like that. So last week we find talking about Korah, and interesting to note, remember that the censers that were brought forth by the other tribe heads to see who Yahweh was chose, they were beat it down by Eleazar, put it together and covered over the golden altar. That's the altar of incense. So the altar of incense is from now on is covered. That's significant. And I don't even think Israel knows about that. I've never heard a sermon even mention it, but that's significant because that means the most precious, the thing that touches Yahweh's heart the most, the censer, the smell, is covered. So that really knocks us down a big notch in our relationship with Yahweh, that he had the censer, the golden altar covered. We already know, we've heard this many times, how Aaron's rod was covered with the image of the creature, the brass image. There's a difference between brass and bronze. It's very important. It was not a bronze image, it was a brass image. Brass is a machination. It is made. Bronze is natural. Okay? Brass is made. And we know about Aaron's rod, they're budded almonds. Okay? Now that was covered with the brass image of the creature, the serpentine creature. The altar is covered. They're both covered now. And that speaks a lot about Yahweh's disgust with us leaders, with the leaders, okay? Now we go, and also we talked about the Devastator last week. Now the Devastator is Balak. It's very important to note these names are not just random names. They all tell a story. In the Torah and in the ancient world, names meant something. Now do people name names because based on the way it sounds or whatever. They were superfluous without names. But they are important back here during this time. Not just with the Semitic peoples, with all the peoples, because the names tell a story. And Balak's name means devastator. His job was to devastate Yahweh's people. That's what he wanted to do. And he hated us. His father's name meant bird. And that speaks to today's increasing knowledge and how we get information from the air. You're getting this information from the air, the prince of the powers of the air. Information has been spread about for devastation. This is why I tell you many times, don't just get knowledge for knowledge's sake. Get knowledge for the relationship of Yahweh Shua. The knowledge that's being put out there now through the air is for devastation. Anything you're talking about that has nothing to do with Yahweh Shua, you're talking about it because the Erev Rav told you to talk about it. They gave you the information. They had to put it out there. That's the law. Yahweh does nothing until he speaks to his prophets first. Hasatan has to follow the same rule. He can do nothing until it goes to his prophets first. When it's said out there, then he can do it. So you're getting knowledge out there and you're picking it up, yes, and I'm not saying it's not true, but it is used for devastation. And what can devastate us is not having a relationship with Yahweh. The knowledge we need to be taking now is for knowledge that brings us closer to Yahweh Shua. Knowledge that reveals Yahweh Shua. That's all that matters in this day and this time. It didn't matter back then on Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's time, and even during this time we're doing now this Torah portion, because they had not gotten into the temporal land, the temporal blessings yet. Once that was established, then the next, now we're in the next part. We're trying to get to the eternal land, eternal promises. So we find the Devastator hires the destroyer, Balaam, destroyer of the people. That's what Balaam's name means. This speaks to today's time. Satan is the Devastator. He hires the false prophet, which really is a real prophet, but a bad prophet, Balaam. It's going to be a brown man. That's why we need to not try to unite over color. That is a doctrine given to us by the Erev Rav. Stop following Erev Rav. Leaders, stop teaching, trying to unite us with the color black and proud. It's about being righteous and Sadiq, which is going to be of all nations and all peoples. Being righteous and Sadiq is what unites us, not being so-called black, because that's what they're going to use for us when they give you this pseudo-prophet who's going to be a black man, okay? Now, also we find that his father's name meant burning. So this is all about destruction. This is spiritual warfare, seed versus seed. So we know that Yahweh Shua, Balaam arrived on a donkey. It was a she-ass. Now, she-ass, this was a machinated creature, a mixed creature that was made. And that's what he wrote on, 3-year-old she-ass. But Yahweh Shua came in on a 1-year-old male donkey, okay? He came in on a donkey. Now remember, if you had a male donkey, first-born male donkey, in order to keep it, you had to redeem it with a lamb. Yahweh Shua, the Lamb of Yah, was the redemption for the lamb that for the 1-year-old foal that he rode on. He redeemed it, so the neck didn't have to be broken. But Balaam's donkey's neck had to be broken after he gave his testimony. Well, why are you spanking me? And he had to be killed. Balaam, when he rode to Balak, was not riding on that donkey. He was humbled. He already was lame, limping. Now he was blinded in one eye, and he's coming in with Balak's people. They had to ride him in. So this was last week. Now, and this week, like I said, Pinechas names means the bronze-colored one, and he is the one who his name is not just about his color, but it's also about his mouth as the oracle of Yahweh. The bronze mouth, the lips of righteousness that speaks to turn and to hide. And what do they turn and hide from? From the zeal of the law to run to grace. So this is a very powerful name that goes over our head in English. That's why I implore you to learn some English, particularly names. The understanding of the names gives you the narrative, a better understanding of the narrative. This is a bronze man whose message was to bring forth the law was zeal, but to turn from the law to grace. Powerful. Now the ones he killed was Zimri, who was having sex with Cosby. Her name means false and lying. So this is a false lying doctrine that Pinechas was destroying, okay, along with Zimri. So we got a brown man, a covenanted Hebrew man being destroyed because of his connection with a lying false liar. Okay? So this is all telling. We have leaders today. These were two leaders. This was the leader of the house of Simeon. Destroyed. We have leaders today, brown Hebrew men, not being saved because you black. But if you bed with lies, if you bed with falsehood, you will be destroyed by the bronze man Yahweh Shua. With the zeal Yahweh has. He says he is jealous for us. He is married to us. We understand him better with the covenant of marriage. Yahweh gave us horizontal relationships to better understand the vertical relationship with him. We here. Now, these are deep things I'm giving you here. I hope you are connecting these dots and understanding what I'm giving you here. So now that brings us to, and why, again, I wanted to talk about this again. Horizontal relationships. The first commandment given to the creation was be fruitful and multiply. The first commandment Yahweh ever gave. In order to be fruitful and multiply, you have to copulate. So obviously the first commandment Yahweh gives, Hasatan, the accuser, is going to do the same thing, to go against that. So he's got to copulate. He's not going to do it righteously with one husband, one wife. He's going to do it in myriads of ways. Yahweh says each to his own kind. So Hasatan says, oh, okay, we're going to do many with many kind. You're going to do many with man, with machine. Mixing different tribes, different peoples, different nations. Mixing. Yahweh's against mixing. Hasatan is going to do everything wickedly, twistedly, serpentinely, like a snake. Yahweh says one each of his kind. He's going to do many with many kind. So this is what we have, a seed versus seed. Righteous, pure against evil, wicked, and mixing. This is the battle from the beginning to now. The Devastator hires the destroyer of the people for our end. And they accomplished it with sexual immorality. That's the only way they could do it. We're blessed. We couldn't be cursed. The only way Hasatan could do it was with sexual immorality. And he had to do it with mixing with the Midianite women. The love of their peor. This Torah portion number 41, goes from Numbers 25 and 10 through Numbers 30 and 1. Numbers 25 and 10 through 30 and 1. Now, Pinechas acted swiftly, okay? He destroyed this evil couple. So the pseudo-prophet saw that the only way, remember, he's not a false prophet, he's a real prophet with real power. That speaks to Daniel Revelations. Hasatan is the beast. He hires a false prophet, a brown man, who's a pseudo-prophet, who has real powers. Okay? So this, prepping you now. We must have a relationship with Yahweh Shua to understand these things, to know these things, so we can be ready. Yahweh Shua says, see, remember that I've told you from beforehand. I'm telling you now. The beast and the false prophet, you're talking about people look like us. Balak was a brown man. Balaam was a brown man. That was the devil and the false prophet. It's going to be the same way again today. The same way. So understand, please, that Yahweh made Adam. He made Mother Hawa. He didn't make Cain and Abel and Seth. He did that, and he left that for us. Relationships, intimacy, interaction, back and forth to produce righteous interaction to produce the next righteousness. The better we understand that horizontal relationship, the better we understand the verticality relationship with Yahweh and his son. To understand the marriage, the covenant, of faithfulness, loyalty, honesty, uprightness. To understand this, you're going to understand this with righteous relationships. And how is it that we still, Yahweh said after this, okay, after this fall with the Midianites, that they were going to be constantly our enemies. Constantly. To this day, we still have this Midianite battle, these Midianite enemies, this Midianite thinking. We still worship the buttocks, which at the bottom of the buttocks is the peor, the opening. Lord of the opening is what Baal Peor means. And we worship the buttocks. Erev Rav put them up there. They put our women up there to again have us idolize it and to devastate us, to destroy us. Where would Serena Williams be right now if she just had a flat butt? Where would her markability be? Where would her ranking be? And her popularity and all the wealth to have her up on the front of the magazines and the posters and everything with the big buttocks. What's with all this posing with your back to the front? Why are we posing with women posing with their butts facing the camera instead of a face? Your beautiful uprightness. We're putting our butts to the camera. Worshiping the Peor. Kim Kardashian, Beyonce, Rihanna, Nicki Minaj. All these put up and prompt up and made wealthy by the Erev Rav to devastate us, to destroy the people. This is Midianite. These could all be Midianite women. Every brown person is not your brother. Every brown person is your relative, but they're not your brother. And we need to learn this because these are all brown peoples. Moab is your family, but he's not your brother. The Midianites are your family, the Kenites, Mizraim, the Philistines. All these are brown peoples. They're not all your brothers. Yahweh's teaching us also here that even in the tribes, they're supposed to be separate. Yahweh separated them. He did it by lots. That way it showed everybody, before all the people, this is not Moshe. This is not Eleazar. I'm doing this. I'm separating the tribes by lots. With how? By casting lots. And he separated them. Because even the tribes, all of your brothers you're not supposed to be mixing with. This is why a lot of our camps, we worship together, we don't get along with each other. We're married outside of our tribes. We're having businesses outside of our tribes. We are having intimate interactions outside of our tribes, and we don't get along. We're supposed to love one another, support one another, but we're not supposed to be marrying into one another. We're not supposed to be coveting into one another, even our own tribes. We know we're not supposed to cohabitate and interact with the world. And this is what the Erev Rav do. They have us unite over color, something superficial that you have no authority and power over. You have no power over the color of your skin, the so-called color of your skin, the melanin content of the organ of your skin. But you do have control and authority and power of who you covenant with. And we are to covenant with righteousness. You do have 11 other brothers, different than your tribe, actually 12, but even in that, you're supposed to be like these braids, separate, like these braids. It's all one head of hair that I have, but I have them separated. One head of hair, one man, separated. That's why we don't get along, because we are mixing. And we definitely not supposed to be mixing with the world. So these are all lessons that are taught that go over our head that we need to be mindful of. Now, in Beit Midbar, which they call Numbers, chapter 26, now, we have this census, okay? And in this census, we find that I've often said, in order to get a better understanding of this word, is to understand a little bit of Hebrew, particularly the names. I am speaking to you the language of slavery. The language of slavery is going to lead you to lies. It cannot lead you to emet. It cannot lead you to truth. It can't do it. It's not designed to. It can't do it if it wanted to. In order to get it, well, how do I have a greater understanding of this than you do? Understanding some of this Hebrew. Now, in here, Yahweh, He's divides the families now. I'm talking about the Hebrews. With each family, He put in front, He prefixed the names, and He suffixed the names with the Hey and with the Yod. The Hey means watch out. Look, pay attention. The Yod means revelation. As I open my hand, I reveal what's in it. Okay? And the more I open it, the more I reveal what's in it. Okay? I open it, I reveal, and I reveal more. Yahweh is saying, watch it. Look, this family, I chose them. That's my family, and my revelation is going to come through that family. Each of us, all 12 tribes, and actually 13 tribes, has its own revelation, its own duties, its own calling. And each tribe is supposed to go by that. And Yahweh says, watch, pay attention to my covenant peoples. And He does this by putting the Hey and the Yod in front and back of each of these names. It's right here in chapter 26, verse 5 of Beit Midbar. You will not be able to get that in English. It's not there in English. You have to read these names in Hebrew to understand that. Yahweh for Christians, Yehonathan Dawid with you here. So I tell you, try to take some time away from the TV, away from the things that we do, that take us, social media, that pull us away from Him, the relationship with Yahweh. All this knowledge and stuff we're getting from YouTube and all this stuff and Facebook, social media, if it's not speaking to the name of Yahweh Shua, to the personage, to the relationship with Him, it is a waste of time. Stop it. It is designed to draw us away. The knowledge you're getting is the era of Rav is giving it to you. He's giving it to you. He's giving it to His prophets so they can continue on to do the dirt they're doing with COVID-19 and Delta variant and all this stuff. Yes, I'm not saying the knowledge we're getting is not true, but does it mean anything? Is it relevant? Is it going to get you into the kingdom because you know that the Delta variant was foretold and all this stuff, or that Biden was a liar? Is it going to get you to the kingdom? What gets you into the kingdom is this word right here. This Torah brings you to the kingdom, Yahweh Shua. That's what it is. It's all about Him. It's all about Yahweh Shua. Verse 33 of chapter 26. Zelophehad's daughters. This is what we get. Zelophehad's daughters, and how they are now given an allotment because even though they're women, because they had no husbands, and their father is dead, and they have no husbands. So this is a new law brought in that went over Moses' head that this could possibly happen. So now Moses learns a new thing. Say, oh, okay, we got to consider women. This speaks to the 144,000. Remember the 144,000, these are all 19-year-old males, virgins. Now when they turn 20, they go to war with Yahweh Shua when He comes to meet them. Also in their group is going to be widows and children. The 144,000 is going to be more than 144,000. You have 144,000 proper, the virgin males who have not sinned, and then you have all the rest. Because remember, during the millennial kingdom, there will be families and children being produced. This speaks to that. So in verse 53 of chapter 26, Yahweh speaks to the 20-year-olds now. The 20-year-old men, now you have to presume that they now have a wife and at least one child behind as they go forward in war, 20 years old and up. They must have a wife and at least one child, and they have land, and they planted a garden and all that stuff behind. So they have something established. So if they die, they'll be taken care of, because you know what? Their brother will have to take care of them. So we know how that goes. Yahweh looks out for everyone. In spite of what Korah said, in spite of what he conjectured in the story of Korah. Now let's read Ezra 20 and Ezekiel 20 and 38. because I talk about, and I keep bringing, I want you to remember in your mind, I want you to keep in your mind Ezekiel 20 and 38. This controversy Yahweh has of us leaders. With the leaders who are doing what I see every day on social media, who are leading us to something that does not mean anything for our salvation. This is why we see through this 40 years, it was not women and children that was dying in the plague. It was not women and children who was leading in rebellion for water, for bread, for meat. It was not for leadership, for direction, to have a certain spot. And it was always the elders. It was not women who went out to spy the land. There were 12 Hebrew men that came back, 10 of which brought back a bad report. Always the male leaders, black men, okay? This was what you always got for you. Ezekiel 20 and 38. It reads, I will purge the rebels from among you and those who transgress against me. I will bring them out of the country where they live. We're all going to be brought out. We're all going to, from all four corners of the earth, we're all going to leave all these lands to get to Israel, to get to Zion. So he's going to bring us, like he said, Yahweh keeps his word. I'm going to bring them out, but they will not enter the land Israel. Then you will know that I am Yahweh. You're not going to enter the land. I love Jerusalem. I love the land, but we're not going to enter in. And why is that? Rebellion. But what? Let's get another witness. Isaiah 26 and 8. Isaiah 26 and 8. Why? We see why we rebel, but let's get another witness. I'm sorry, Isaiah 26 and 18. And it reads, we have been with child, we have been in pain. So here we are, we are in pain and straining, all right? We have, as it were, brought forth wind. We have farted. Isaiah is saying, with all this pain and all this straining and all this laborious work we're going through and pains, all we did after all of that was brought forth a fart. That's what Isaiah is saying. Isaiah 26 and 18. We have not accomplished any deliverance in the earth. All your likes and all your huge mention, all your following have accomplished no deliverance in the earth, nor have the inhabitants of the world fallen. We have not. The China man is over us. The Spanish man is over. They come into your country, can't even hardly speak the language. They start businesses. They make money. They're working on the roads. They're working on the roofs. They're making money. You already know the white man and Jew man over top of you, but now all of them are over top of you. They come into your country, into your neighborhoods, and they make money off of you. You buy their food. You get your toenails done by them. You get your clothes cleaned by them. Your streets are repaired by them. You give them your money. Your dollar can last in your hand 10 hot seconds. We're all over us. The worlds have not fallen unto us. We are still on the ass end, the back end, the tail end. We're still on the back of the bus with all of this knowledge you're giving out every day on social media. Stop it. I'm telling you here right now, to be a good leader, to be a righteous leader, you're teaching the word of Yahweh Shua. You're teaching the word of Yahweh Shua. You're teaching the name, the word of Yahweh Shua. Everything you teach should be leading to him because he leads you to his Father. You ain't going straight to his Father. This is not my opinion. It's straight from the book. You're not the 144,000 prayed by Yahweh that your son is. I'm saying that a lot. Now, we see that going on, that the count in the second census goes on, and Yahweh is still hot against the leaders. He's hot against the leaders because, again, we have not produced in all these 40 years. We still found ourselves to be, even at the end, right at the precipice, right at the gate of getting in, falling to sexual immorality. Remember, I forget what Torah portion it was. The way, Yahweh, the word for leader leaders is, let me see if I say it right, Yeshiyam, okay? Neshiam. Neshiam. There are two yods, two revelations in the word leaders. When Yahweh called us leaders, he took out both yods and just used Nisham. Not Ne'ah Sha'am, but this Nisham. He took out, that means he took out both his revelations. He took them out. 1 and 2, took them away. That our leaders today are not having any revelation. None. No revelation. Because they're too busy spitting out what they're eating at the table of the Erev Rav. I'm not going to eat at the table of the Erev Rav. I'm going to give you the word of thus saith Yahweh. And what thus saith Yahweh is, you know what? Here am I. If you want to get to me, you have to get to me through my son. His name is Yahweh. His name is Yahweh. You know, the very idea that Yahweh had to separate us and give us our plots and our lands tells you that we are supposed to be separate. We're supposed to be separate. We already know separate from the nations, but even separate from one another. Separate and having a relationship with Yahweh to understand, to have discernment. Discernment of what he has for us to say, to shema, to hear, to do what thus saith Yahweh. And we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And this is why we don't get along, because we're mixing with people we shouldn't be mixing with. Have discernment. Make sure your ministries are relevant. And the only thing that's relevant is that we are in the latter days. The latter days. So this Besorah message, the message must be of the Besorah, what they call the gospel. And the Besorah is only of Yahweh. It's always meant to be that way. Remember Jonah, his name means dove. Yahweh has put out a peace offering to the world. Way back even before Moshe. The dove, he went out to Nineveh and they repented. Now 100 years later we see what happened. But at that time they repented. The olive branches handed out to them. Yahweh is always meant for his brown covenant peoples to go out to the world and teach them. But we, again, produce nothing but Isaiah 26:18, a fart, a wind, and no nations have fallen. None. In fact, the first Besorah message ever sent out was from a Goyim woman. Yahweh met the woman at the well. The Samaritan woman. She didn't go and teach Hebrews. She didn't have to go do that. She went to her peoples. So the first Besorah message ever went to the Goyim from a Goyim woman. And the first Besorah message ever to us, the Hebrews, Miriam and Miriam. They're the ones that came into the tomb of Yahweh when he had already risen. And they came back and gave the message to the apostles. So here are our leaders. The first time we hear the Besorah message, the gospel, as you call it, came from a woman. So we got in the millennial kingdom, children, in fact, indeed, will be the leaders. Children, because of the bad leadership. Women and children will be the leaders. They have led in the Besorah message. The Erev Rav have beaten us down so much that they're the leaders in our homes. The women are getting Father's Day cards. The women are leading out. There are more women following Yahweh than men. You go to the churches. There's more women in there. There's more women in the churches. There's more women in the colleges. The men are on the streets and in jail. And they humping one another. And they got their pants hanging down. This is sad. It's all I can do right now to keep from crying if I was to take time to think about it. And it hurts my heart every day to see so-called men with women over them and children in front of them as well. It's a sad thing, which is why Yahweh didn't even recognize us when he called us leaders. He took out the revelation from us. So we see, moving on, that Yahweh transfers the land. Now, the land is given to these men now, 20 and up, who was not part of all those rebellions. And as a matter of fact, in this second census, not one name is the same name from the first census. All those men are gone. Every last person is new, except for, of course, Yahushua and Caleb. In this next census, Yahweh has finished his purging. He's purged them all out, except for Yahushua and Caleb. Everyone is new. Now, with these women, their land is not given, it is transferred. This is the same thing that happens with the 144,000 and the innumerable company around them. Land of Zion is transferred to them. Okay, it's transferred to them. This comes after the 6th plague earthquake, okay, in Revelations. So let's get to learn this stuff now so we can understand it when I get into Daniel Revelations. Now, let's read about Moshe's plot on our behalf in Bamidbar 27, Numbers 27, verses 12 through 14. 27, 12 through 14. And it reads, Now Yahweh said to Moshe, Go up into this Mount Abarim, and see the land which I have given to the children of Israel. And when you have seen it, you also will be gathered to your peoples, as Aharon your brother was gathered. Because in the wilderness of Zin, during the strife of the congregation, you rebelled against my commandments to hallow me at the waters before their eyes. These are the waters of Meribah, at Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin. See, we frustrated that man so much. Moshe, and he pleaded over and over again. How many times did he plead for us? And Yahweh said, okay, and he listened. But when he pleaded for himself, he ain't had nothing coming from Yahweh. Just like Esau, when he saw the error of his ways, he pleaded with Yahweh incessantly. Pleaded and prayed, called on his name and everything. Cried with tears, the book of Hebrews tells us. Yahweh, nope, he didn't hear. Jacob gave the blessing. It cannot be taken back. Yahweh cannot take back a blessing. And to this day, we cannot be cursed. This is why the Midianites taught Baal Peor, for us to curse ourselves from loving the butt, loving the opening in there, worshiping it, cursing ourselves. And today they prop them up in social media, our idols that we put up. Same thing here. The blessing was given to us through Jacob, and it could not go to Esau. Same thing here. Moshe could not get into the promised land. You can't do it. So you use up your grace. You smack the rock twice. Yahweh says somebody hits you, that's grace. Turn the other cheek. They hit you again, you turn the other cheek for more grace. But after that, there's no more grace. After that, judgment. So his judgment was he can enter the land. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing, Israel, because Moshe is the 613. If Moshe, the Torah, enters into the land, then where's grace? See, grace and the Torah cannot be in the same place at the same time. See, if the law is there, there's no grace there. See, the law is a good thing. It's the blood that covers. Blood stains. Water cleanses. Blood covers. Water propitiates. It takes away. The law is good for temporary. The grace is eternal, forever. It's like you got the Olympics going on right now. In the races they have, when they have the team races, everyone on the team don't run together. Okay, you have them one at a time. The law starts off in the run, and then it runs and it gets around the circle. It hands the baton off to grace. So you got the blood covenant, which is good, and he runs out first. He goes around the curve. He hands the baton off to grace. Yahweh Shua, he takes the baton. This is the better promise. This is water. It cleans all that. He runs around. He hands the baton off to his father. And who testifies of Yahweh Shua? Yahweh Shua testifies to his father. His father is the great white throne judgment. So you go to his father. You don't receive the Torah. in in these races, these relay races, the first man relay cannot hand the baton off to the third man. It has to go off to the next man. In the relay races, it goes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So you cannot go from the law straight to Yahweh. It goes from the law to Yahweh Shua to Yahweh. Okay? That's how the relay goes. And the goes from good to better to perfect. That's what it goes. It goes from blood, staining blood, to propitiating, cleaning water. That's how it goes. So now we have Moshe being kept out. We're the ones that asked for the law to be written. We've always shielded ourselves from Yahweh. Even Moshe, he came into the tree. Yahweh met him humbly in a burning bush. Moshe covered his face. He comes down to us with his power and beauty. On the Mount Sinai, we've hid away and said we're going to die. No, Moses, you go and let Yahweh tell you what to do, and you tell us. So it's written down. But read Ezekiel 8:5. Let's go to Ezekiel 8:5. I read it before. Ezekiel 8:5, and it reads, "Then he said to me, Son of man, lift up your eyes now toward the north. So I lifted up my eyes toward the north, and there, north of their altar gate, was this image of jealousy in the entrance." And goes on talking about the defiling of the temple. The image of jealousy is the 10 Commandments. Yahweh is jealous. If we're going to think we're going to have righteousness, that we can please him because of our own righteousness of keeping these commandments that we asked for, then he's jealous. Because he wants to come and talk with us, to live in the middle of us, to interact with us, have a relationship with us. Not to say, okay, follow this, that, and the other. That's not how you live with your wife. That's not how you live with your children. The children, they know what they're supposed to do. Okay, you wash the dishes, you sweep the floor, you take out the trash. Your wife knows, okay, this is what I like to eat, this is what I don't like to eat. This is what I want to wear and I don't want to wear. She knows, okay, these bills need to be taken care of. That bill needs to be taken care of. It's not all written down. It's a relationship. We're talking about a righteous family now. We're talking about a righteous family. So we have a righteous family, and we can't live righteously horizontally. We cannot interact with Yahweh in the family relationship vertically. It's all about relationship. And Yahweh is jealous of these commandments if we're going to think we're going to try to get to him. Remember that relay. You're not going to get to Yahweh directly. You have to go through his son, through grace. And this is what the millennial kingdom is about also. See, in the millennial kingdom, after that 1,000 years, they keep them perfectly. But why? Because Hasatan he's locked up. He has to get his punishment being locked up for 1,000 years. So there's no opposer. There's no accuser to keep us from keeping it. If there was nothing making you do what's wrong, encouraging you to do what's wrong, you won't do what's wrong. Mother Hawa would never on her own just walk and took the fruit of good and evil. Not on her own. Not with the presentation without the presentation that was given to her. But see, after that 1,000 years, when Hasatan comes, if those people think that they are righteous now because of keeping that law, they're going to follow him and do it all over again. Just one thing. One thing. Follow Yahweh. They're going to follow again. And why? Because still they're housing Yahweh's blood. Even though they were perfect for 1,000 years, keeping the law, they have his blood. And they have accepted the propitiation, the cleansing of Yahweh Shua HaMashiach. So I'm hoping you're understanding how I'm putting this down to us. I'm making it plain and simple as I can. We see that Yahushua, but I'm going to go back, before I do that, to the shortcomings of Moshe. Moshe, the greatest prophet ever. There's no prophet greater than Moshe. And even with that, we have shortcomings. Because remember, he forgot to circumcise his son. Oh, he didn't know that. He circumcised his first son. Why did he forget the second son? From being myopic. Being myopic. And for 1,000 years, those people are going to be myopic with the commandments. Keep us. Lockstep. Boom, boom. Keep the law. Keep the law. Keep the law. Keep the law. What about relationship? Relationship with Yahweh Shua. What about the revelation, the understanding this man, this beautiful, loving man who gave his life so horribly on the almond tree and on the Mount of Olives. relationship should be our mantra. Not keep the law, keep the law. And Moshe kept the law, and he forgot to circumcise his own son, which is the law. How about how he did his own brother Aaron? Aaron was in mourning after Nadab and Abihu was judged. He was in mourning, yet he still had to give the inauguration sacrifice. Now, because he was in mourning, and Moshe told him, remember in Leviticus 10:3, don't you dare shed a tear. Anybody come before Yahweh must be Kodesh. Moshe stopped him. He said, don't you even shed a tear. We move on. Moshe was like, keep the law, keep the law. So Aaron, he did just that. He went forward with his duties, and knowing the law, as taught to him by Moshe, he had to go by a variation of the sacrifice, of his portion of the chief priest sacrifice. Moshe tried to stop him from offering the offering that way. It's in Leviticus 19 and 20. Leviticus 10, verses 19 and 20. This is just a few verses after Moshe corrected his brother. Now Aaron corrects Moses and says, wait a minute, no. Remember, I'm in mourning technically. Technically, I'm in mourning, but I can't do it, but I'm technically in mourning. This sacrifice must be done in this way. And if you read it, Moshe said, he's right. He's right. I'm wrong. Moshe hushed his mouth. See? So this is the most righteous preacher, prophet of all time. That's an error on his part. Would have been an error. But Aaron got it right. How about him not foreseeing the possibility of women owning land rights? He missed that also. He missed that also. How about him striking the rock twice? He used up all his grace. He was supposed to speak to the rock, which was his chance. Moshe of everyone was the only one that had to understand that, wait a minute. The Malachim of Yahweh that's going before us, the pillar by night and the cloud by day, is really Yahweh Shua. And everything we're learning here is about Yahweh Shua. And everything that's going on here now is going to happen again in the latter days. This is a type of the latter days. He understood that by this time. But he struck the rock not once, he wasn't supposed to hit it at all this time, but twice. He missed out on his chance to teach the Besorah message, the message of Yahweh Shua. Our best leader. That was his chance to teach the message of Yahweh Shua before all the people. And all the people were there in position to hear. I would love to have that myself right now. So we see that the law brings us to the land, and grace gets us in the land. That gets me to Yahushua and Yahweh Shua. And I'm the only one here teaching Yahweh Shua, Yahweh Shua. Yahushua means Yah. He is salvation. The Hebrew word for he is who. Okay? It's a hey and a wah. Hey and wah means he. It's pronounced who. So Yahushua, whom we call Joshua, means Yah. He is salvation. So we need to stop calling Yahweh Shua, who died on the tree, Yahushua. Yahushua led us into the temporal blessing of the blood covenant. Yahweh Shua, Yahweh means I am. Yahweh means I am. So Yahweh Shua means I am salvation. He leads us into the eternal covenant of the water salvation, the water cleansing. So Yahushua leads us to Yahweh Shua. I'm hoping that you get this. I'm hoping that you get this. Stop calling. Now Yahshua, hey, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. It's good. But it's Yahweh Shua. Stop calling him Yaharallah and Yesha and Yeshua. Stop calling him Yahushua and Yeshua. Get the ooh out of your mouth when calling on the name of the one who created your mouth. Because his name is Yahweh Shua. I am salvation. Not Joshua, not Yahushua, which means Yah. He is salvation. That's a good name, a righteous name for that man, for what his job was. He cannot save us. He brought us into the land. He cannot save us into the eternal land. It's Yahweh Shua. Get it right. So Moshe gives him some. If you read that in verse 20 of chapter 27, Moses said, listen, okay, I can't get him in. Okay, I can't get him in. But please, Yahweh, give him a man that can get him in. A man who's going to be a good shepherd and a warrior. Because Moshe was a good warrior too. Remember, he led them against Og and Bashan. You know, these were giants that Moses was a warrior. He led the people before them. But he also was a shepherd. That's how, remember, he hedged and protected the 99 sheep. He went after the one sheep that went up the mountain. That's how he saw the burning bush. Because he was a good shepherd. He went after the one sheep. Yahweh Shua says he is the good shepherd. He protects the 99 and goes after me. He went after me. I was a wayward sheep. Yahweh protected the flock and went after me. And he got me. And I told Yahweh, I love you, Yahweh. Yahweh, you are my witness. Blessed be the name of Yahweh Shua Most High. Blessed be the name of Yahweh, who was and is and always will be. I praise the name of Yahweh for coming to get me. You brought me back into the fold. And I am the man on the wall for the name of Yahweh Shua, HaMashiach. I am salvation. Take that who stuff out of your mouth. Take it out. So indeed, and remember, the world, they hate shepherds. Egypt saw that as they hated shepherds. A shepherd is like a disdainful job. But that's what Yahweh Shua was. And that's how the world is. They don't understand. They don't understand the beauty and the need of the shepherd. They don't understand that. They hate shepherds. That means they hate Yahweh Shua. You need to love Yahweh Shua. You need to be a good sheep. And if you do have a flock, be a good leader in that flock. So we find that going on down to chapter 28, in verse 2, once again, more laws are given. The pattern has been throughout all of this journey, we're given laws, we sin, we give him more laws. We break those laws, we get more laws. And here we go again. These are called the Musaf offerings. These Musaf offerings are more laws in addition to the offerings we were given early in Leviticus. Okay? So these are additional ones given, but they're beautiful. I'm not going to spend all the time, I'm already close to an hour now, in breaking them down. But we see that they have a lot of meaning. The only one I want to spend time right now to talk about is the Sukkot offering. Okay, the Sukkot Musaf offerings. These are additional offerings. Now, I implore you to go read all of this, but I'm only going to go through this one. Now, these include the Goyim. Yahweh, like I said, at Nineveh, all right, he always planned on including the Goyim into the promises. He always planned on, he died, he so loved the world that he died, he gave his only begotten son for everyone. That if you receive him, his son, not the 613, receive his son, the grace of his son, then you have a right to the tree of life. You have eternal life. So we find here in this offering, the Sukkot offering, that you have these 70 bulls that are offered. All right, different number each day. But then there's also 14 lambs, the same amount offered each day, 14 each day. And this is a beautiful thing. I just learned this this week, or last week. I just learned this. Let's go to Zechariah 14, 16, and 17 to talk about how important Sukkot is. And I'm going to break down the bulls, they represent the 70 nations. But I'm going to break down these goats. Now, in Zechariah 14, 16, and 17, it reads, "And it will come to pass that everyone who is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem will go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahweh Shabbaot, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles." Yahweh Shabbaot, you say, yours says, Yahweh of hosts. "And it will be that whichever of the families of the earth do not come to Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh Shabbaot, on them there would be no rain. So we know the rain, the water rain represents Yahweh Shua. So they're not going to receive Ruach HaKodesh, they're not going to receive Yahweh Shua if they don't keep the Feast of Tabernacles in during this millennial kingdom. Now, this water is important because there's also a libation portion added to these offerings. Remember, this is something added to the original offerings. There's a libation. The ancient world was destroyed by water. Come full circle to the latter days, the final world on this earth here is going to be saved by water. By the water of Yahweh Shua, the water of life. The tree of life, the water of life. Remember, out of his side came blood and water. He is the water of eternal life. Now, I'm going to talk about that some more. But look at this. When you talk about the goats, they are given two different identifications. One is a male of the goats, and the other one is a he-goat. And we know the he-goat is Esau. He's the hairy one. And the male of the goats is Ishmael. So these are our brothers. These are our brothers. And this is deep. Now we know, and I just learned this last week. On the first, second, and fourth days, you have the male goats offered. On the third, fifth, sixth, and seventh days, you have the he-goat offered. So you got Ishmael's goats and you got Esau's goats. They both total 35. You got, for Ishmael, you got 13, 12, and 10. That's 35 nations. And then for Esau, you have 11, 9, 8, and 7. That's 35. 70 nations. 70 nations are covered with the goat offerings. That's beautiful. That's deep. I hope you're getting it. Okay? And then we know in Deuteronomy 28, we get the 98 curses from Deuteronomy 15 on. Well, 98 lambs. 14 times 7 is 98. We got 98 lambs offered during the time of Sukkot. Okay? During the 8 days of Sukkot. You get 98 baby male lambs. So we got the goats covering the nations and the lambs covering us. That's deep. That's a beautiful, that's worth the time away from TV. Take some time from the work, time from your wife to get into this word, to see these deeper things, because I'm going to talk about this in Daniel and Revelations and how it relates to that. But this water covenant was a big deal. The water libation ritual of the covenant was a huge thing. Let's go to John 7, 37 and 38. John 7, 37 and 38. On the last day, that great day of the feast, Yahweh Shua stood and cried out, saying, he cried out that with a Yehuda voice, okay? That voice of war, the powerful voice that Yahweh gave us. If anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink. He who believes in me, as the Torah has said, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. This is for those who in the latter days drink the water. Remember, the leaves are for the healing. We need the water for eternal life. He said out of their heart is going to pump water, not blood. Today, blood pumps out. This is why you still, even if you keep the whole 613, you still are in error because you have Yahweh's blood in your body when you're supposed to have his son's water in your body. So this speaks to the eternal promises. This speaks to the importance of receiving the water of Yahweh Shua. This speaks to the importance of the water libation ritual in this on the last great day. Okay? Again, hey, listen, you know you can only go 3 days without water. 1 day without water for the Father. 2 days without water for the Son. The third day, you can't speak against the Ruach HaKodesh without water. That's it. You cannot speak against Ruach HaKodesh. 3 days without water is death. You can go 7 days without food. The most I've ever done was like 3 days. 3.5 days. But you can go 7 days without food. But water, 3 days. And look at how important the history of water. Look at this. You know, Abraham and Isaac made many wells. They were industrialists with making wells. Eliezer found Isaac's wife, Rebekah, at a well. Jacob found Rachel's wife at a well. Moshe found his wife Zipporah at a well. Israel's two big rebellions was over water. Moshe lost his right into the Kodesh land over our rebellion of water. Yahweh Shua began the Besorah message with a Samaritan woman at a well. Water is important. The first water judged the world. The final water is going to be the grace of the world. Let's go to Revelation. Let's read that. Revelation 22, 1 and 2. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding from the throne of Yahweh and of the Lamb. And in the middle of this street was on either side of the river was a tree of life, which bore 12 fruits, from each tree yielding its fruit every month. The leaves of the leaves were for the trees, was for the healing of the nations. Now, each side of the river was not blood, it was water. And the water was there for the healing of the nations. Receive Yahweh Shua for your healing. Receive Yahweh Shua for Ruach HaKodesh. Receive the eternal water salvation of Yahweh Shua. Next week, 42 is Matot, tribes. Numbers 30 and 2 through 32, 42. Until then, Yehonathon that we with you here. Yahweh for Christians. Shalom Aleichem. Peace be on you.